I'm David the Good. If you're like me, you may have delayed a little too long getting ready for spring some years, and then you're finding green and bushy. You don't want a bunch of leggy little spindly things indoors because those are not going to do well at all, and they're probably going to die when you transplant them. So you've got really good light indoors. You've got some good soil. It's rich. I mean, you get some compost in there, so they're healthy, they're green, they're stocky and thick, and they look like they're ready to go in the garden. Well, like I said before, when you put the transplants out, it may be getting warmer during the day, and it's almost certainly getting colder during the night than it is inside of your house. They're also getting hit by the wind, they're getting hit by the sun, which they're not used to, and there are insects and other things outdoors that they're not used to. So you go through a process called hardening off with transplants, which is where you take your tray out and you put it in the sun for an hour the first day, and then you bring it inside. So it's had a little bit of wind, it's had a little bit of sun. The next day, you put it out for maybe 2 hours. And the next day you do it for 3 hours, and you do this for a week until you hit like 7 or 8 hours. And then those things have kind of acclimated to the outdoors enough that when you transplant them, they're not going to just go into shock and die because you've yanked them from one situation to another and put them in a very difficult place to live. So this whole hardening off process is a pain in the neck, but you have to do it to a certain extent with most plants or else they're going to die. So you know, you have to be ready to do that if you're going to do transplants. So if you have a short season, yes, go through the trouble and get those things done. But if you don't, look, just put seeds in the garden. It is the easiest way to do it. Another reason you might want to do transplants is because you have something very rare or a pain in the neck to grow. When I grow tobacco, I grow them in transplant trays because the seeds are very small. They're like dust. So I sprinkle them over the surface, and if they dry out, they die. And if they don't get enough sun, they die. So when they're right on the surface in the garden bed, they dry out really quickly and they die, and often you'll only get a few or you won't get any at all. So I put them in trays, and I keep the trays misted multiple times a day, or put plastic over the top until they germinate. Wait until they get a little bigger. I mean, they're only like this big when they sprout. They're like the size of a pinhead. So if I want something like that that's a pain in the neck, I'll put it in trays and then plant it out later. If I have a rare plant, I'm not sure about the germination rate and that sort of thing, I'll start those as transplants and go through the trouble of transplants and then transplant them out later. I do the same thing with tree seeds or herbs in particular are often a little picky, so I do that. Get them going in transplant trays and then put them out. Otherwise, I like to grow stuff directly in the garden, in case you hadn't caught that part of the theme yet. I'm going to urge you not to go for the easy fix, not to go and buy transplants because it's easier and you've outsourced some of the labor to others. If you're going to survival garden, I think it makes a lot of sense to learn how to close that loop. Learn how to grow your own plants from seed, even grow your own transplants from seed if you're in a climate that requires that. Don't necessarily go out front of the Tractor Supply and assume that the Tractor Supply is always going to be around for you, and buy something that a nursery has grown for you. If you can learn to do this yourself, you're going to be in better shape if things get rough. Another benefit for growing things from seed instead of transplants is you have a massive variety of vegetables available to you from seed. Go to a site like Baker Creek, right? They've got heirloom organic seeds. Baker Creek has a bazillion varieties, that's the technical term, a bazillion varieties of amazing and beautiful plants you can grow. You know, zebra striped tomatoes and different types of peppers that you've never seen before. Heirloom beans like Jacob's cattle. Okay, these things you're not going to get as transplants. If you grow from seed, you have like thousands and thousands of varieties instead of just a handful of varieties that are worth growing as transplants from the nurseries. So consider that diversity that you can put in and all the varieties you can test and try from seed. And you may find that some of those seed varieties are going to be better suited to your climate than some of the transplants that you're getting, because the transplants are pretty much the same type of stuff over and over and over again, often through the whole country, like Better Boy tomatoes and jalapeno peppers. Okay, try a bunch of stuff from seed, and then you can just experiment and figure out which ones do the best in your garden. So there's another benefit of growing from seed. Another benefit is when you grow from seed from an heirloom variety and you save those seeds, they are better acclimated to your climate because you're saving seeds from the plants that survived and produced. You can actually acclimate varieties to your area over time by growing them over multiple generations and saving seed. They will get better and they will grow more and be happier in your climate. And you don't get that benefit of the seed saving usually. You can save seeds from transplants, and you can do that over time, but you've got to start from seed year after year after you transplant the first year to acclimate the seed and the variety to your growing conditions. There's another benefit that a lot of people don't think of. Save the seeds, they acclimate to your area, and you can get a variety that is like your variety. So like Dave's tomatoes, you know, my version of Better Boy or Big Boy or Early Girl or whatever, if I've grown it in my climate for a period of time, it's gonna adjust and it's gonna do better in that climate. So you don't get that from transplants. I'm David the Good. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may your thumbs always be green.